This is the 30th annual exhibition of artists in Michigan prisons. My name is Emily Chase. I'm the Exhibitions and Curatorial Manager for PCAP. It's really amazing to see it all come together. We worked really hard, and it worked, and everything turned out. It's really great to be here.
My name is Nora Kernitsky, and I am the director of the Prison Creative Arts Project. And I'm so excited to celebrate the 30th annual exhibition of artists in Michigan prisons. This, I think, is our largest show ever. There are 871 works of art in the gallery right now, made by over 600 artists. So it's just really a testament to how much creativity and art making is happening inside Michigan prisons. One of the things that I love about this show is the really interesting themes and stories that we tell in the gallery. So I'm standing in front of pieces that show some aspect of like repetition and ritual and the way that artists hone a signature style and really become recognizable on the canvas, which really, in a place that tries to sort of erase identity, erase individuality, I think really speaks to, how people can make themselves known, make themselves seen, even beyond the walls. So these are some of my favorite pieces, and there's other amazing stories told in the gallery, stories about just what it literally feels like to be inside, not just giving people a glimpse behind the walls, but really helping people understand, here's what it feels like to live in confinement, or stories about really innovative use of materials. Not people just using what they happen to have, but making really intentional choices that are incredibly innovative. So yeah, those are some of the stories that I am really left thinking about and feeling inspired by tonight.
I'm Janie Paul, and I'm one of the co-founders of the exhibition. My late husband, Buzz Alexander, and I organized the first exhibit in 1996. We didn't know what to expect, but we were blown away by the work we saw when we went into the prisons. There was only, in that show, there were, I think, 50 pieces by just a few artists. So we decided to make it an annual event. So I'm now retired from the project, essentially, but I was very active for like 25 or more years, and every year would go in and talk to the artists and select work. And for me, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I exhibit my work. This has been one of the most inspiring things for me as an artist, is seeing work that's done by people who have such an urgent need to make art. They haven't necessarily been to art school, but for me that's all the more powerful because they're finding their own ways of creating and expressing themselves and developing skills. And so this is the 30th year. I mean, I am very grateful and moved. I'm grateful for the people who have carried it forward as I've gotten older, and I'm not, I don't have the capacity I used to have. I'm not doing it anymore. So people have really taken it on, and it's going on. And I always have to shout out to my husband, Buzz Alexander, because he's the one that really was the visionary behind this show. He's the one that really conceived of it, not just as an exhibit, but as a pedagogical project where we really talk to the artists and help them grow. So I can talk about this piece up here. He's been in the show for quite a while, and he always does these pieces of urban scenes. And some of them are even bigger than this, like very, very horizontal. And they almost always depict his city, which is Detroit. And I love it for a few reasons. One is it invites you in to it. It's called I Added You to My Art. I didn't even realize right away that that's what he wrote here. But he's envisioning a welcoming space. You feel like it's his city. And I love the way he made it reflective, so that's almost like reflecting you back into the picture. I also really appreciate how he developed his own visual language. Some artists just sort of copy the way other people make art, and you can see that he developed his own way of drawing.
Well, my name is Bella, and
I'm Kelly.
And we're FTVM students, so film, television, and media students at the University of Michigan here. And we're taking a class right now where we get to create a short documentary. So we're here to cover a little bit more about Charles, who went through the PCAP program. And yeah, we're super excited when the opportunity arose and we got like the email about what our subject would be for the class. I was really excited and happy to work with something like this. Do you want to speak on that too?
Yeah, definitely diving into the research and just everything that goes into PCAP. It was mind-blowing to learn about, how much effort and exposure they put into making sure prison reform is happening and that people are celebrated in that experience. So specifically learning about Charles' story and how much poetry and PCAP really saved him has been eye-opening, and I'm really honored to be a part of a project that gets to highlight that.
What gave you the inspiration to approach this project that
Well, personally, I think I've always grown up around art and music in a very art scene, and film is very artistic in and of itself. And I feel like you can make a documentary about anything, but I think making documentary about something that has to do with social change and social justice in the world is really inspiring for me personally. And approaching this project, we want to call people to action and show them the importance of programs like this and things in their world that they might not notice are corrupt and need reform, and showing them this is a project that you can support and you can do things in your community to help stuff like that. Personally, do you want to say?
Just being, yeah, sure.
So that I'm not interviewing.
Being a film student at U of M, there's tons of opportunities that you learn about, and this project specifically, I think, just really speaks to that, the breadth that the university offers and the amount of opportunities that kids can get involved with that do branch out into the greater Ann Arbor communities and the state of Michigan as a whole. So I think it's a really cool opportunity just learning more about our school and what it has to offer.
Yeah, I think one more thing, as a film student, you get to do a lot of fiction film where you get to create your own story, and it's really a great thing. It's cool, you get to write and learn, but there's so much important things going on in the community too that deserve coverage and deserve a piece of art in itself, and I think approaching that and tackling that is a really special experience too.
My name is Omari Booker. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm the guest curator here at PCAP, the 30th annual art exhibit. And so yeah, from Nashville, I got the privilege of going into the facilities and working with some of the other artists. I'm also a formerly incarcerated artist myself, and so it's been great to be here. Yeah, it's really, really special exhibit.
What's it like being here, knowing this thing's been going like this with this type of art for 30 years?
It's unbelievable. I mean, the amount of work and effort that the volunteers put in, that the staff, and of course the artists that are making this work. I mean, the artists make it happen. So So just seeing the talent is unbelievable, and also the commitment, the commitment to excellence year after year. A lot of these artists have exhibited for years and years and years in a row. So I've been really impressed and grateful to be here.
Speaking of talent, what's this behind you right here?
Yeah, this is B. So this is a friend of mine from Nashville. He lives in my neighborhood, and I made a series inspired by him. He lives outside, so he experiences homelessness, but has a lot of just grace in the way that he lives. He's been a dear friend, and is also has a really deep spiritual presence. So I was inspired by B. I decided to make a series about him, and there's over 40 pieces, all inspired by this subject. But 2 of them are in the exhibit here.
You got any plans to stay in contact with PCAP? That type of work out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as much as they ask, I'll definitely be back. And I was honored to really be a part of it this year. But I look forward to kind of fostering that relationship and hopefully even working with maybe them back home in Tennessee some too. So,
yeah. That's my next question. How did you learn about PCAP? How did you?
Yeah, really through an organization called the Center for Arts and Advocacy, and they work with formerly incarcerated artists, and I got a fellowship with them, and they put me in touch with PCAP, and I applied for this fellowship to work with PCAP. So really just through the network of people doing this kind of work around the country, I found out about this program, and it's been amazing. I haven't seen anything like it. Like it's truly one-on-one as far as art programming, not just for people on the inside, but art programming in general. I think that's something I really wanted to emphasize with. I know the people here know that, but for people outside of maybe U of M or outside of PCAP to really know this is contemporary artwork. This isn't just work created by people who are incarcerated. This is in the conversation of all work by all artists. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, man. We appreciate your time.
Man.
My name is Charles Brooks Sr. I am here because I am a former incarcerated person who just came home June of 2025. I'm an artist, sorta, but I'm an author full-time. And this workshop, this exhibition supported me and my bit. I did 20 straight years. So I'm feeling happy to be here, ecstatic to be able to see some of the artwork. I've seen pieces by people I know, so that's pretty cool. I took pictures with them so I can send them to them. And I'm just geeked to be here.
So I see you got an art piece over here that you say you got.
Yeah. Excuse us, young lady, please. So this piece right here is by Daniel Conrad. It's named The Parole Board Response. Shout out to Daniel. But it is a feeling that everybody goes through when you get ready to see the parole board. You can do everything you're supposed to do, and one member can decide, hey, we don't want you to go home. And that's it. You got to stay there for another year. So everybody who's ever been incarcerated in the state of Michigan can relate to this. And at this current moment, it's my favorite piece.
Hi, my name is Maddie Levy. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator for Prison Creative Arts Project. I am just really excited that we are on our 30th annual exhibition. I just joined PCAP actually last year. So last year was my first exhibition, running around, organizing the opening and everything like that. But throughout last year and this year, I got to meet a lot of amazing artists, both inside and artists who have come home. And it just shows that this exhibition is just so meaningful to so many people. Seeing everybody come out and seeing everybody talk and seeing seeing everybody connect over this artwork is just really meaningful and impactful to me. I also just really enjoy hearing about everybody's stories, whether it be in person, talking to them during our art selection visits where we go inside Michigan prisons and talk to artists to curate for the annual exhibition, or whether it be during our community events where people come together, people a part of the PCAP community, people who have heard of PCAP and want to be a part of the PCAP community come together and talk about this work that we're doing, bringing the arts, like people impacted by the justice system, together with University of Michigan community and broader community for artistic collaboration, mutual learning, and growth. Overall, all I can just say is this exhibition is amazing, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it.
Hi, I'm Corey Frick. I found out through poetry and through prison that about this, and I got one of my poems put into the magazine that they have, and then I was asked to be one of the speakers here today. So I've been off parole for about almost a year now. So
What's it like being able to come to the show?
That's what it's like. It's kind of surreal a little bit because you get so trapped in your own thoughts and you get lost in just being around the same thing over and over again. And it's nice to see all this and be like overwhelmed by how much is around you, and you're not in trouble for being, there. You know what I mean? So.
What do you like about this art show?
It gives hope because I was in there, and when I got my poem published, it gave me validation that what I'm doing with my life, even though I'm not able to do anything, with it at the moment. It gives you some hope that you have a future and that there's going to be grass on the other side of that fence, and it just gives you hope.
So today's a good day.
It is a good day. Every day is a good day. You gotta make the most out of it, or else you just and the thing about the art, I notice you see a lot of pain and suffering and all that. But that's what art is it's to get all that pain out, and so you don't have to hold on to it anymore.
I'm Scott, and I am here to support the artists. I was an artist formerly, and so I'm trying to be supportive. I've been out for over a decade. So
this isn't your first time.
No, I try to come every year. I like coming to the opening ceremony because it's cool, because a lot of times I'll come and I'll see people that I was in with. So I don't always know those people are going to be getting out. So I'll come and I'll be like, oh, I know him. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it's really cool, and to see the artwork that's on display of people that I was inside with. So all the artists, I want to thank you. And any of you guys that remember me and know me, I ain't forgot about you.
Hi, I'm Susie. I was a student when I got started with PCAP, and then I started being involved in kind of a working capacity. At this point in my life, I've been to every prison in Michigan with PCAP, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop being involved. So it really just keeps dragging me back every year. I think that you know, I kind of know what I'll be seeing with the art, and every year I continue to be surprised at the way people grow, at the way that I'm able to maintain relationships, seeing people in the UP once a year. And I think what's really special to me about PCAP is knowing that something that was started, you know, before I was born could have such an impact on me years later, and just that there were people who had similar feelings to me about these things and acted on them, and because of them I'm able to do that now. So hopefully it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
My name is Krymson and I'm a longtime PCAP artist. I've been part of PCAP since like 2004. I started out in a art program, doing art and workshops and things like that. Like I was explaining to the young lady here, I got inspired because my mother always wanted some art of her children, and a guy I had paid to do artwork had messed up the picture. So I started following guys in the facility I was at named Jamal Biggs, Raymond Gray, Damon Sneed. Them guys was real talented artists, so I started following them and asking them to show me stuff, and they gave me little techniques and stuff, but mainly I just stuck with it and practicing every year. Then I ran into another guy that I was all right with. He seen some of my artwork and told me to enter it into PCAP. I'm like, man, that stuff ain't gonna sell. He like, your stuff gonna sell, it'll sell quicker than my stuff, because he used to do all black and white. But he was cold with his artwork, but he convinced me to put my piece in PCAP. I think in 2006, I did my first piece in PCAP. It sold, I blew my way. So I stuck with it, and then I started seeing how people related to my artwork, because a lot of my artwork was related to music. I did a lot of jazz pieces, a lot of art pieces dealing with different kind of music. And I see that music touch everybody in different ways, so I stuck with that. Then I started branching out to different mediums with things that I was dealing with, or things that I seen people that I knew was dealing with. So I started making pieces that people can relate to, not only in prison, but in society. And then every time I did art pieces, I put an artist statement with it to show people what made me put that piece together, or artwork. And one of the things that it did, you know, art brought me peace. You know, I had been incarcerated since I was a juvenile. I did 32 years. I just came home in August. And so while I was in there, that was my peace of mind. You know, that was one way that kept me from getting in trouble, or kept my mind from being put up on nonsense. And so art became a focus for me to be something other than what people thought I was. You know what I'm saying? It made people see a different side of me. Not only that, it made people on the outside start noticing how individuals don't really stick to the label of being a convict or a prisoner. And then I seen how much art touched people. Look at all the people that's in here now. You know, art touched people in different ways, and so I stuck with it because it gave me a voice. Not only did it give me a voice, it gave me a platform for when I want to speak about something that people ain't listening to. See what I'm saying? So not only that, it brought me peace, man. You know, it brought happiness to my family. It brought happiness to other people that bought my artwork. And it inspired me to keep doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It let me know that I was doing the right thing. And not only that, since I've been home, I had 2 art shows. I had an art show, matter of fact, I got out August 7th. I had an art show August 14th at the Flint Institute of Art. Then I had another art show September 5th at Detroit, at University of Michigan Detroit Center on Woodward. So that just let me know that I was doing the right thing. And then, since then, I've been having other interviews, like with Dr. Vitalis that's here from the University of Dearborn. So the things that I've done, the transformation that helps me, it helped me to get free, because it changed my way of thinking, it changed my perspective on things, and it also helped me to connect with people that I never thought I would be able to connect with, like y'all. I wouldn't have never thought I'd be here doing this, because technically I was serving a life without parole sentence, and because of the juvenile laws, I got resentenced and gave me a second chance at life. And so I don't take it for granted. You know, since I've been out, I got me a job. I go to Wayne State University College. I'm still doing my artwork. You know, Only downside I was in a car accident that stopped me for a minute back in January. I was in a car crash. You know, I just started being able to walk without a cane. So, but the artwork, I became overwhelmed. So now what I did, I'm starting to get back to basics with my artwork, because since I've been home, it's been overwhelming. And so behind that, my mother gave me the greatest advice not to come out here and let the world overtake me, because I've been doing so good surviving all that time in prison, to stick with what I know. And so what I did, I started getting back to my artwork. So the artwork brings me back to a centerpiece to be balanced. You know what I'm saying? It actually brings balance to the chaos in my life right now. So that's why I stick to art, man. You know, not only that, I love connecting with other artists. And then I still communicate with the artists that inspired me in there, that I left behind, and I still reach back to them, letting them know, man, this is what I'm still doing. I'm not stopping, you know what I'm saying? I'm just expanding what I'm doing along with my artwork. And so things that I'm doing now that I'm free, I'm able to show them that I left behind, that it's something better out here versus being in there, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm sticking with it.
My name is Jesse. I'm from the west side of the state. I actually am currently in PCAP doing a workshop, or facilitating a workshop at Woodland facility. The visual arts workshop, because I'm sure, as you guys know, there's like creative writing, visual art, and then theater. I attend the art school here, so it's kind of like, you know, what I'm at least mostly interested in. What speaks to me about this piece, I would imagine that the Northern Flicker by Timothy Forshee, I would imagine that most of this stuff was gathered from the yard, you know? There's goldenrod, just like grass seeds, you know? I don't really know my plant biology, but I know that my mom used to do pressings too, and she passed about a year ago, and it instantly reminded me of her, you know, and like brought me to that space, because she would know everything on here. She'd just be immediately like this, and it kind of made me feel close to her too, you know, just this sort of transmission of like peace from such like tough, you know, circumstances, and like out here to me, like I can feel the love and the just like strength and hope radiating from this piece. So
How did you find out about PCAP?
Actually, I've been really interested in the intersection of like arts and incarceration, or just like prison abolition as a concept, you know, for a long time, because I grew up in a quite rigid religious institution that I'm not comparing it, but there are some like dovetails between the sort of panopticon of like God always like looking down and like discerning whether or not you are good or bad, or like this constant judgment, and like a sort of carceral, like if you don't live up to these, you know, ideals, then you are banished, you're nothing, and kind of rejecting that in a way, or at least that particular brand of faith, and recognizing the value of every person, including me, you know, growing up like hating myself under this conception of like God or love, or the antithesis of love. And then I was like, okay, well, as a society, you know, we have these places that we're not even often privy to see, where people are being demeaned and disenfranchised, and essentially being like doing slave labor by virtue of the fact that they, you know, made a mistake, or even sometimes they didn't. And I just feel very passionate about like the value and validity of every person, recognizing that often when people make mistakes or hurt themselves or hurt others, that it's often because of things that happen to them, or the cycles of harm, and just everybody being a part of the human family and just trying to believe in love and mercy for me, for everybody else, and then for me. So.
My name is Federico Cruz. I found out about PCAP in 2008. They had a writing workshop when I was up north. I was in Chippewa Correctional Facility, and I had a friend. He was kind of a mentor, and he was really heavily involved with the Creative Arts Project, with PCAP, and he encouraged me to go to the writing workshop, because at that time I did 4.5 years in the hole, in solitary confinement, and while I was there, I used to write a lot, and that was something that was very cathartic, therapeutic, and so he encouraged me to participate in the writing workshop at PCAP. Sarah Unrath, she was actually in there facilitating the workshop. She was one of the volunteers, facilitators. And so that was my first contact, participation with PCAP. And so I went down, I was up north, and then I eventually made it down to the Lower Peninsula. And I was at Macomb Correctional Facility. And that's where I met a person. He was my mentor, art mentor. His name was John Lawnchair, God bless his soul. Passed away during COVID. And he encouraged me, to paint. There's like a nice little art program they had there. And I never knew I was capable of art. And so, like some of the gentlemen, my brothers that were speaking tonight, it was a process of unfolding. And realizing that I was capable of doing something more than what I had done, to that point. And it brought a certain sense of pride, a certain sense of fulfillment. And every time I would go to a selection event, when we would put our art up and PCAP would come with the selection committee, I was always looking forward to meeting the people, the volunteers coming in. And so that's where I met Janie, and at that time Buzz, he came in one time, but Ashley, and at that time Graham. Okay, this right here, this is a guy I was with up north. His name's Chris Levitt, and great guy, very intelligent. He was serving life, and he encouraged me at that time to pursue education, because he was taking his own courses. He was taking philosophy courses, and he was one of the people that was instrumental to me taking the steps to eventually getting my bachelor's degree at the Calvin Prison Initiative, because he encouraged me to pursue education while I was incarcerated. And even though he was doing life, he always had a positive energy. He was always lifting people up, always, took his shirt off for anybody. He's a great guy. In this piece, I'm looking at it, and I've seen some of his work before. He's really progressing. This kind of represents his overall attitude. It's kind of like, hey, I could tell he kind of got jaded through the years of being in prison, but I know he's got a good heart. But I love what he's doing here. I love the use of his right here, the colors, using pigment to create the values, and then just beautiful work. Very proud of him. I love it.
My name is Dante Wells. I was in the penitentiary, drawing, painting, and now I'm on this side, looking at all the people who were looking at me when I was inside. So, what am I doing here? They just let me speak. I think I made 150. I'm not sure because I haven't, but I know it's coming. This PCAP, meaning U of M. So what else? What else should I tell the people? I'm talking about, listen, if I'm in MDOC in any way, form, or fashion, I must say that as soon as I walked in here, I cried. I didn't mean to, but it was so overwhelming because I never thought in a million years that I would be on this side looking at it. Damn, people care. You know how many people care about this art? I thought it was like 4 people I was gonna speak to. It was a whole room. I'm like, dang, this is serious. This is serious. So, man, if I can say anything, get your work out there because people gonna like it.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the 30th Annual Exhibition of Artists in Michigan Prisons. I'm so happy to see you all here tonight. The gallery was so crowded with so many smiling faces, returning artists, family members, U of M community members, students. I could go on and on. This show is such a huge lift and takes so much work all year long. It comes together thanks to all of our volunteers, our amazing staff at PCAP, all of our students, the staff and leadership of the Michigan Department of Corrections, as well as the Federal Bureau of Prisons, our faculty members. Again, it really takes a village. So I'm really grateful for everyone who put in time selecting art, preparing it, putting it together for this evening. We are so lucky to be joined by a number of artists and writers who have returned home from prison and will talk to us tonight about their experiences and what PCAP has meant for them. This year also marks 30 years of the annual exhibition, 3 decades of going inside, meeting with To mark the 30th annual exhibition, PCAP featured our first ever resident curator. You'll see his work in the gallery. Omari Booker is a painter from Nashville and Los Angeles. He's here with us tonight, and he'll also give a curator talk tomorrow night in the same place. So I hope to see many of you there. Like I said, we'll hear from a number of artists. We'll also hear from PCAP's Out of the Blue Choir to celebrate the opening. Before we jump into all of that, I want to welcome the co-founder of the exhibition, Jane Paul, to tell us a little bit about the history of the show. And I think you'll be amazed at how far we've come over 30 years. So Janie, welcome, and please.
So great to be here for 30 years. So yeah, for those of you who don't know about the origin story here, I'll just tell you a little bit about the origin of PCAP and the origin of the show. So in 1990, Buzz Alexander was a professor in the English Literature Department, was teaching a class, and one of his students was going into the women's prison in another class, and she asked Buzz to come into the women's prison to do a theater workshop. Buzz had been a political activist, very engaged in issues on campus and off, and he started to learn about the issues of incarceration. He went into the theater group, and with Mary Heinen, who's now current staff member and been a long time, started this workshop. So Buzz really got the bug for doing theater in prisons. And he started teaching classes in which his students went into prisons and did theater workshops. And in these theater workshops, it was all improvisation. He also started doing writing workshops. And so we often say that the co-founders of PCAP were Buzz and Mary. But I want to bring out another part of the origin story, which is the students, because what happened was some of Buzz's students who were taking his classes became so committed to this work, they decided they wanted to volunteer after the classes were over. And so they decided to meet weekly because they knew they needed peer supervision. So I moved to Michigan right when that was happening in 1995, and 1995. And it was then that I started doing art workshops in prisons and started teaching a class at the School of Art and Design, where my students went into prisons to do workshops. So Buzz was about to name the organization, the theater group. And I said, wait a minute, we're doing visual art now. And we were anticipating doing more of the art. So it's called the Prison Creative Arts Project. So it grew. He kept teaching classes, I kept teaching classes. Students became so committed, many of them wanted to keep volunteering after the classes were over. And it started to grow and grow. Well, in 1996 or 5, I guess 6, Buzz said, let's do an art show. And so that first year was 1996. We went into 16 prisons and we met with artists, and we were just blown away by the art that was going on in the prisons. And so we organized the first exhibit, which was at the galleries, which no longer exist, at Rackham, the Rackham building here in the U of M campus, on Central Campus. And it was very moving. We had some family members come the first show. And so we thought, okay, this has to be an annual event. And so started making an annual event. And those first few years, there was no infrastructure for this. It was just some volunteers. And our living room was filled with the art. And it was just working all the time on the shows. Gradually, we got more and more support. It grew and grew. I'm not going to go, it'll take too long, but that's the origin. But I do want to give a shout out to Buzz Alexander, because he was really the visionary person behind all of this. The ideas, that the things that we do now, that we've done all these years, the comment book, which I encourage all of you to sign. I don't know whether some of the artists may speak to this, but that book goes into the prisons, and that's where they get comments from you. And I've heard stories about men sitting on their bunk and crying when they read the comments. It means that much to people. The video that we do that goes out to the prisons to show the opening reception. All of these things, the way that the community was brought together and formed on either side of the walls, was something that Buzz really had in mind from the very beginning. And so I'm just incredibly gratified to just be with the continuation of the show. Nora and Emily Chase, who's head of the show, in charge of the exhibitions, just have done a wonderful job. And I'm incredibly grateful for people, Nora and Emily and everyone else, for continuing the show and making new innovations to how the show is designed and all the technical aspects that make it possible to know more and more about all of the artists. So thank you, everybody.
We're going to start with Out of the Blue Choir, led by Laura Clapp. So let's welcome Out of the Blue.
Thank you. Oh, is this on? Thank you so much, Maddie. Just as the students are finding their places behind me, I want to introduce us quickly. We are Out of the Blue. We are the University of Michigan's Prison Outreach Choir. And we are a group of Michigan students and community members who rehearse weekly on campus in preparation to perform in 3 Michigan prisons towards the end of each semester. And this is our second year coming here and performing at this event. We are so delighted to be able to share a couple songs to kick off the evening with you all. Our first song that we have for you is called There's a Meeting Here Tonight.
There is a meeting, there is a meeting, there is a meeting, there is a meeting, there is a meeting here tonight, there is a meeting here tonight, there is a meeting here tonight, there is a meeting here tonight. Well, there's a meeting here tonight, there's a meeting here tonight, I can tell by your friendly face. There's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight. I can tell by your friendly face. There's a meeting here tonight. Well, I went down in the valley one day. Met old Satan on my way. Met old Satan on my way. What do you reckon old Satan did say? What do you reckon old Satan did say? He said, turn back, young man, you're too young to pray. Too young to pray. Too young to pray. Well, there's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight. I can tell by your friendly face. There's a meeting here tonight. Oh, there is a meeting. Oh, there is a meeting. There is a meeting here tonight. Hallelujah. There is a meeting. Oh, there is a meeting. There is a meeting here tonight. There is a meeting. Yes, there is a meeting tonight. There is a meeting here tonight. Well, there's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight. I can tell by your friendly face. There's a meeting here tonight. Well, sing combat and I am glad. Sing combat and I am glad. Lost his holy God he had. Lost his holy God he had. Satan is a liar and a conjurer too. Satan is a liar and a conjurer too. You better watch out, brother, he'll conjure you. Conjure you, conjure you. Well, there's a meeting here tonight. There's a meeting here tonight. I can tell by your friendly face. There's a meeting here tonight. Oh, there is a meeting. Oh, there is a meeting. There is a meeting here tonight. Hallelujah. There is a meeting. Oh, there is a meeting. There is a meeting here tonight. There is a meeting. Lord, there is a meeting. There is a meeting here tonight. There is a meeting here tonight.
Thank you all so much. And this next and last piece that we have for you is a piece by Fleetwood Mac. Anyone a fan of Fleetwood Mac out here? Yeah? Great. This is a piece called Songbird. And part of the reason why I chose it this semester for our program is that we're putting together a program of pieces that are all kind of about the people who stick with us through hard times and just what those people mean to us. And this song, Songbird, was written by Christy McVie, one of the lead singers of Fleetwood Mac. And she wrote it in a single night when she was kind of meditating on what her bandmates had meant to her throughout her life. And she really wrote this as kind of a dedication to them and all that they had meant to her. So I think especially for our artists in the room, I would love to invite you all to just think about somebody who has been meaningful to you in your own artistic journey. Or for anybody here, just think about somebody who's meant a lot to you throughout your life. This is Songbird.
For you, there'll be no more crying. For you, the sun will be shining. And I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. I know it's right.
To you, I'll give the world. To you, I'll never be cold. 'Cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's alright. I know it's right. And the songbirds are singing like they know the song. And I love you. And the songbirds are singing like they know the song. And I love you, I love you, I love like never before. Like never before.
Thank Thank you all so much. That's all we have for today. I just want to shout out one more time, Jack and Joanna, our two soloists here. Thank you guys so much.
Now, we're going to be hearing from some of the artists that were participating in PCAP exhibitions in the past. And so first up, now is Charles Brooks.
Hello. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Charles Brooks. I just came home in June of last year. I served 20 consecutive years. Yeah, that part. but I've been participating in this program since 2013. PCAP means pretty much everything to me. I created PCAP was saving my life. I was on the prison yard and I was doing prison stuff, and I'll leave it at that. But PCAP gave me an opportunity to kind of sink my feet into something solid and give my life some direction. And they started to publish my work, and I started to kind of recognize my own worth. And I'm here today. So PCAP is everything to me. As long as there's something going on with PCAP, you're gonna probably see this face, so get used to it. I've been encouraged to read something, even though but I'm gonna read it. I just wanna read a couple of things. I wanna read a poem called Where I'm From. This poem I actually wrote in one of the workshops that the PCAP facilitators and students come out and do at the prisons. And it was a writing prompt, and they just wanted to know where you were from. So I wrote this. I'm from the darkest nights, the lowest lows, below average sight with no roads to hoe. From homes with no heat and candles for light, hunger for food to eat and examples of right. I'm from where a spark of intelligence gets you labeled articulate, where you're an anomaly and a target amongst your peers. I'm from poverty and injustice, indifference and disdain, early death and pain, shattered dreams of fame. I'm from frozen cups of Kool-Aid and wick, focus, hope, and food stamps, beg, borrow, and still can't steal away from the bleakness. I'm from where your nightmare is my reality, my fantasy your normal, where hate is a medium, explanation, and excuse. I'm from what's the use? If I told you, you wouldn't even believe me. Now this here is not a completed piece. It is a snippet. So the way I work is I'll have a thought, an emotion, a reaction to something, and I kind of let it germinate in my brain, and then I jot it down as it comes out. This actually didn't get finished, but I would like to share with you guys anyway. I didn't think I deserved happiness in my life. Felt my days would never be bright, bliss could never reside. But I've realized that my dawn has finally arrived. My past pain is something I can finally let go of. I shed many tears and chose some detrimental paths. I hurt myself and was too numb to do anything but laugh. Looked at this taste in his face and had it and decided it was mine to grab. My past pain is something I am finally able to let go of. At some point this will be finished, but the gist of this is this. My childhood was horrible. And it's just what it was. Everybody's, to some degree, were not happy with their childhood, but mine was kind of horrible. And I walked around with that pain. I walked up and down the streets with that pain. I walked in and out of school with that pain. On and off the football field, I picked my gun up every day with that pain. And it led me to prison. I spent 20 years in prison. I watched my children grow up in prison. I watched my father, my brother, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, childhood friends die from prison. I watched men die in prison. I'm not sure if any of you are really as involved as I think you are. Maybe you guys are more. But I would encourage you to continue to do all that you are doing, and even some more, because there's a guy just like me sitting in a cell somewhere who feels hopeless, and this power, this word, was able to bring me back, and I can stand here in front of y'all and be a father and a productive citizen. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That was amazing. One more time for Charles. This is so good. All right. We are bringing up our next speaker, and it's going to be Corey.
All right. So I have ADHD, so I got to read from this, or I'll just talk forever. I'm Corey, by the way. Calvin's my writing name, but most people think re-entry is a positive experience, but for many returning citizens, it's an experience that forces you to rethink what freedom really is. For me, that rethinking happens on the page. I've been writing since I was a kid, back when I was just trying to make sense of a world that always felt too absurd. My
artistic practice isn't about making art, it's about survival. Writing is the liquid thread that keeps me connected to my humanity when the world tries to make me invisible. This is where PCAP comes in. When you're moving between two worlds, it's easy to go numb. You get used to staying quiet, but PCAP provides a forge where your voice is allowed to have weight. It gave me a community that didn't just see a returning citizen, but an artist with a story that deserved to be witnessed. It gave me space to stop being a silhouette and start being a person again. I want to share a piece that captures that internal reality of transition, the moment when the physical walls are gone, but the internal ones are still being dismantled. This is truth about reentry. At first, shock, like nerve endings seared, but the pain isn't physical. It's as if reality split right where you sit, and you have to relearn how to be, to re-envision sight, to take flight, but go nowhere. And yet, you get used to it. You become numb again, like scabbed over skin. You become calloused within and flow with the go, but know it isn't quite right. The bite that chews your food hinges a bit different, like similes comparing themselves with nothing close to the same way that this feels. But you're free to imprison yourself in the tight quarters of your existence until you learn that freedom and confinement are only words for how much space your mind allows to move past the definitions you're given to describe yourself. What I've learned through all this is that freedom isn't just walking out of a gate. It's learning how to live beyond the walls that used to define you. Writing helped me do that. It's how I keep breathing, how I stay real. Programs like PCAP matter because they help voices like mine be heard, not as reminders of where we've been, but as proof of who we're becoming. Thank you for witnessing that journey with me.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to bring up our next speaker, and our next speaker is going to be Rick.
Hi, thank you all for coming. My name is Rick McDonough. I've been with PCAP since 1995, 96, whenever it started. I was in the first show. I don't know if there was, 50 artists, I think, something like that. Yeah, 50 artists, and I don't know how many pieces of artwork. I didn't get to meet Janie and Buzz until 5 years, 6 years into it because I was at level 4. I was behind the walls, and there wasn't any fraternization or anything like that going on. And, what does PCAP mean to me? Well, when they give you 25 years, they hand them out like peanuts. Here's your 25 years, here's yours, 15, 18, whatever. It's just like you're spinning the roulette wheel. And what they don't say is when they give you 25 years, that they give you 219,000 hours. They don't tell you that they give you 13 million minutes. And it only takes a minute or two to change your whole license plate. That's it. Your number is who you are forever. Because it can be a sense of pride if you got integrity about yourself. It really can. And people will know. They'll be, oh, that guy. Well, that's good. The choice is up to you what you do with those minutes. And when I came to PCAP, I was just one of those days I was going on a visit, and I looked on the board, and they said, hey, you want some art by this date, whatever it is. And I didn't know it was the first show. I didn't know it was a blind selection, and I wasn't getting my art back after it went wherever it went. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, whatever, yeah, bye. But 6 months later or so, I got a check for $70. And that was 3 times or 4 times what I paid for my art supplies. So I was like, okay, well, I like doing that, but I did not know Janie or Buzz. And when I finally met him, I thought, aha, I have Buzz. He's a literature professor. I'm going to ask him some really smart question, and he's going to help me out tremendously. Well, I asked him, what kind of books should I be reading? And all he said was 7 words, you can't go wrong with a classic. And he just kind of turned around and walked away. And I was like, he left me just standing there looking stupid. And I thought about it until later that day. I had to call out to the library, and there was 37 volumes, and they said classic books on them. And I started reading them, and I started reading the Britannica, and I started taking all the knowledge that I was learning, and I would incorporate it into my art. I worked through, in a cathartic way, all the pain and the anger and the stress, and I just gave it all up, and I found something else, and I said, well, if they plant this tree, then I'm going to pour water all over that sucker, and I might even throw some poop on it, whatever. But nonetheless, that thing grew, and it's 31 years now, and I've been out. I couldn't come because of the restrictions on my parole, so I couldn't come. But I'm here now, and this really, it's about literature. It's about reading, and if you can read and you can put yourself in that position, you've really done something. And the art part, it just, forget about that. It just comes. You quit seeing the fences and all that other stuff. You start thinking about Huck Finn and the Great Frog Race and, all kinds of Don Quixote stuff. And you're incorporating all these lessons while you're being a scientist and a mathematician and a religious zealot and, whatever you become. And even sometimes part-time gangster. You have to be. If you're not, well, forget about it. But the reality is that the last year that I participated, I sold art for $730, which is a considerable amount of art. It's only 2 pieces. I sold them both. Yeah, it doesn't sound like much money in the long run, but I was making $20 a month. So that is 37 months worth of wages. Could I hand you 37 months worth of your wages right now? Well, I got handed to for 25 years, let me tell you. And it's because of these people. I've been in a museum. I'm in a book. I've traveled this nation. I've stood up for human rights. And I've been a teacher. I've been a wizard. I've been a whatever. I've been a fixer-upper. I've been that guy that'll get you the pencil if you need it, that guy. And I'll carry you over the finish line. And in the long run, that came because I saw that example that was set by the founders and by the volunteers. It's that simple. And then you wouldn't believe, but what you see on the wall, for every piece that you see, there's 5 other artists that will not put their art in because they have such an emotional attachment to it that it borders on psychosis, really. It really does. It's like, hey, that cost you 7 cents. Yeah, but it's mine. Okay, yeah, leave it there. Don't touch it, Tommy. It'll be good. But the reality is that I painted my way out of prison. Somebody asked me one time, what do you think, you're just going to be in a museum and paint your way out of prison? I was like, well, there's only one way to find out. There's only one way to find out. And thank you. Yeah. I looked at it as a career. I took it very, very seriously. And I taught people and provided them with art equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And young guys like him, I'm sure they seen what happened and they were right there. Boop. So I don't want to eat up everybody's time. It is Irish Day and I'm Irish, so, whatever. But thank you for coming. Thank you.
All right. We have another speaker joining us, and this speaker has been a huge part of the PCAP community and especially a big part of our events recently after coming home. And so let's welcome Krymson.
A lot of people in here. How y'all doing today? Can y'all hear me? Well, it's been a journey. My name is Kashawn Miles-Hill, for those that don't know me. I was a juvenile lifer. I just came home in August. I did 32 years in prison. PCAP. PCAP is like my family, you know. From what the brother Charles said, Rick said, young man here said, you know, PCAP did a lot for us that's in prison. You know, PCAP gave us a voice. PCAP gave us a way out of being in trouble. For me, PCAP gave me peace and gave me hope. Like the young man just said, you know, I was doing life without parole. So I ain't see no future in coming home no time soon, you know. So in 2000, I got out level 5 in like 2001. So when I was at Ryan Road, I first heard about PCAP through the drama class. They had what they called a theater workshop. That's how I learned about PCAP. And so I ended up joining PCAP in 2002, started getting in their programs, they writing programs, they art shops. 2006, I started seeing artwork. And it was a few guys that was in the facility with me named, a lot of y'all probably know they work, Jamal Biggs, Raymond Gray, Keith Burns. You know, them guys was a heck of an artist. And so I used to see how people used to gravitate to their artwork, and I always wanted to learn how to do that. And so my mother actually was the cause of me getting into artwork, which was because she wanted some pictures of her children. But anyway, I paid a guy to do some artwork for me one day, draw a picture of me and my two sisters for my mother. He messed the whole picture up. So my mama cussed me out. She like, this don't look like none of my children. Y'all need to get your money back. So I started learning how to draw on my own. I had them guys teach me little techniques, show me stuff. Then I got to the point where I got tired of asking them, so I just started practicing. So I started doing workshops with Buzz. And, you know, I love Buzz to death because had it not been for Buzz and Janie, ain't no telling where I'd be at right now. Like the gentleman just said, I use art to get out of prison. I use art and legal work to get out of prison. Art became so much of a focus that anytime I felt like that I was rebellious, I started turning to my artwork. So the art became my voice, my platform. And in trying to get out of prison, I used that artwork to talk to people out here. And like all of y'all that's here today, I thank everybody that come here every year to participate in the art show, to buy our artwork, to write them comments. Like Charles said, them comments is important. Every time we get them packages, people be like, I want to see what people said about my artwork. That artwork inspired a person to keep doing what he's doing because a person look for that encouragement. In prison, we don't have that too much. And you have to be strong and disciplined to make it through anything, even out here. So PCAP is like my family. PCAP is my family. And this is my first art show. I couldn't wait to come here. I was so glad to be invited here. And I didn't know I was going to speak, but for the love of the people that love me and got love for me, they told her I was speaking. So, you know, I'm so grateful for this. And I thank Nora and everybody who put this together because it's important that people know what we go through in there. It's important people to know how much y'all help us get through them times in there when we don't have nobody else out here. You got people that don't have nobody, and they turn to their artwork, their poetry. They turn to PCAP because PCAP offer programs like workshops. Them workshops make it easy for us to get in and make it where we can get through the day, where we can have something to look forward to for that next week or that next day. And you know, all of y'all make it possible. All the people that's in here today, even the people who buy our artwork, people who write them comments, even people who don't buy nothing. Just coming here is a big support because guess what? People gonna see this video when they send it in them prisons. They gonna be looking at me and all the guys that they know, and it's gonna inspire them to wanna do better and try to get out of there and stop doing nonsense because artwork, like I say, it stopped me from doing a lot of nonsense. Once I got into the art and I seen how inspiring it was to the people that come to the art show and how much I was selling and how much people love my artwork, even to this day. When I got out of prison, first thing Janie and them did, they had an art show for me 7 days after I got out of prison, and that was the world to me. You know, I never thought I'd have an art show at the Flint Institute of Art. I never thought I'd have my stuff published in the book that Janie did that's out there now. I got artwork published. I never would have thought that. You know, why the only thing I was focused on was coming home, trying to get that life bit off me. But somehow God made it a way for me, for them to change the juvenile laws and I can come home. And it made it possible for me to focus on something other than trying to get out of prison. You know, being in prison, you got to have a strong mentality to deal with everything that's going on. And then even more coming home, you got to deal with the changes that you don't know about when you come home. And so art saved my life. It's still saving my life because every day I use that art to deal with whatever I'm dealing with out here because I'm learning how to integrate back into society with the help of the people that been there for me while I was in prison. All these people that's here, all of y'all. And I don't want to be long-winded, but I thank you people, everybody that's here and the people that was here. And like I said, if it wasn't for Buzz and PCAP, ain't no telling where I'd be at. And so, you know, I just want to thank everybody who come out here to show support, who write comments, who say stuff about these guys' artwork, because trust me, it go a long way in there. And them guys in there is definitely appreciative like myself. And I hope that I've inspired some of you and some of you have bought my artwork before. And I look forward to, talking to y'all and doing art in the future. And I thank everybody for their support and participation in the art show. And like I say, PCAP, my family. I love PCAP, and whatever I can do to help PCAP, I'm always gonna do it because they saved me and they still helping me. Thank you all.
All right, moving right along. We're going to bring up our next speaker, Federico Cruz, who is an artist, writer, and speaker.
Yeah. Okay. This is beautiful. Let me soak this in for a minute. Beautiful. So, good evening, everyone. Standing here tonight is something that I once believed would never be possible. 30 years ago, my life stopped. I was 16 years old when I made a decision that changed everything. For my victim's family, for my own family, and for the rest of my life. For 3 decades, prison became the place where I had to confront the reality of what I had done. There's a strange kind of silence that exists inside of a prison cell. When the steel door closes and the noise fades, there's nowhere left to turn or run from yourself. And eventually, the hardest conversation you will ever have is the one you have with your own conscience. For a long time, I believed that my story had already been written. I believed that my worst decision had permanently defined who I was and who I would always be. But one night, I was sitting alone in that small concrete cell, in one of them, and I realized something I had been avoiding for years. I wasn't just serving time. I was carrying the weight of the harm that I caused. And if I ever hoped to become something different, something better, then that process had to begin inside of me. Now, that realization did not magically change everything overnight. And you guys know, most of you guys know, transformation rarely happens that way. It's slow. It's uncomfortable. It requires honesty that most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. But somewhere along that path, creativity became part of that process. Reflection became part of that process. Education became part of that process. And programs like the Prison Creative Arts Project became part of that process. Because even inside institutions built for punishment, something remarkable can still happen. The human spirit continues searching for meaning. It searches for expression. It searches for a way to make sense of the past and imagine a different future. Art has a unique way of doing that. Art allows people to confront pain without being destroyed or consumed by it. Art allows people to express truth that words alone cannot carry. Art allows people who have been reduced to a number or a label to reclaim something essential about their humanity. When you walk through this exhibition tonight and see the work created by the incarcerated artists, you are not simply looking at paintings or drawings or sculptures. You're witnessing something deeper. You're witnessing reflection. You're witnessing struggle. You're witnessing human beings wrestling with their past while still reaching for dignity and transformation. And that matters. Because one of the most dangerous things society can do is convince itself that people are permanently frozen at the worst moment of their lives. But the truth is far more complicated than that. Human beings, yeah, they're capable of harm, terrible harm. But human beings are also capable of reflection, responsibility, and transformation. I stand here tonight not as someone who has escaped the past, but as someone who has spent 30 years learning how to confront it. And I stand here with deep, deep gratitude. Gratitude for programs like the Prison Creative Arts Project. Gratitude for the educators, mentors, and I have to give a shout out to my art mentor, John Longchair, baby John, God bless your soul, bro. And gratitude for opportunities like this one, where art can open a window into lives that are too often ignored or misunderstood. Now, before I close, I want to leave you guys with one thought. A prison cell can hold a body, but it cannot permanently imprison the human spirit. The artwork that you see here tonight, or that you saw here tonight, is proof of that. And if transformation is possible in places that are designed for despair, then transformation is possible anywhere. Thank you for allowing me to share this moment with you.
All right, we're coming up on our last artist speaker, and so happy to bring up Dante Wells.
Man, I hope I can carry this tune pretty well. I got a quick story. What I'm about to read is not needed, but it is to keep me in the template of the time I have. So, good evening, everybody. I want to tell this story in 2017 when PCAP first came to the penitentiary. For me, I didn't know it was even this long. I'm so shocked. I thought they came the first time in 2017. So in 2017, you guys came to the gym and everybody had to put their pieces out. And so I wanted to see what everybody did. It's all collection at once. I got to get in there. So I get over there, and the people at the gym like, hey, you got some art? And I'm like, no, I just want to see. No, you can't see unless you have something. All right, bet. So I run back to the unit real quick. And I draw a little boy on the train tracks and a train coming to hit the little boy. Now, I know that's strange, but I'll write a poem on the back of it. The poem, I hope I have enough time. I'll let you guys hear it because that is strange. But it's something. So I ran back, and I'm like, hey, I got something. He was like, all right, let him win it. So I get it, I'm like, dang, I'm looking at everybody's stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool. Now, so this is where I'm at, all right, I'm getting. So I put the little piece of paper, like white lined paper. It's a little boy, stick figure, walking across the train tracks, and there's a train coming with chimney smoke. Well, train smoke, sorry. So the people start coming in to look at the paint. You know, they come in. I'm over here. I got the poem on the back ready to explain. This is what happened. Every time it was. So I know that's not saying the good thing about PCAP and how I swear I was destroyed. I was actually pretty pissed off. I did not know how to draw. I had no artistic bone in my body. I was 34 years old. I was already 3 bits in. Been home, came back 3 times. So I went back and I did Martin Luther King and all zeros. So when they came back again, I hope it's still in the archive. If you want to see it, you have to go to my Facebook page, Dante Wells. Pick the one that's Impossible is Nothing. And you will see that there is a Martin Luther King in all circles. And that was my first join in, and that changed everything. Because everybody, now when they came, it was, wow. People was like, hey man, you hogging them. We got stuff over here. Everybody was on mine. So now I want to end with just this small, the train track, the little boy. So a giving of one thing for another. I would sacrifice it all for my little brother. I have a question for you. What if your choices all came down to 2? Would you hear voices? Imagine yourself living a whole different life. You work the railroads, you know, a different life. What you work for is your wife and your son. He is the first and only one your nation has begun. When he starts to get old, you begin to show him your trade, the family business. Surely he won't be afraid. Your job is to make sure that the tracks are in line. You also have to lift the bridge when the boat comes by. It's an easy job. Lift knobs, push buttons. All of a sudden, the little shorty is gone. So you leave your post. You can't be gone too long because if you do, you're toast. The next thing to happen is something you can't compute, but you got to do something, and it's something you can't dispute. You're in a catch-22. You're damned if you do. If you don't try to save him, little man will be through. Who knew? Life would come down to 2 choices. Is that God you hear, or are they devil voices? Hurry up. You're running out of time. Maybe it's not what it seems. Is this an oblation or just a dream? So that is the little boy. The father has to save the boy or the train. One or the other. Thank you.
I want to thank you all so much for coming today. Can we just get one more hand for all of our speakers?